but you're against the radar. And then that's a clarification. Our 360-degree radar is nothing like the ANCP6, okay? That thing that they put into Beagle, and everybody is kind of mixed up about it, is that it is primarily an air defense radar. It can be used in other ways, but it's primarily air defense. And I don't think it has nothing to do with the current US operation other than a shield for Trinidad, just like they did in Guyana. Right? The Americans don't need that for their current operation because they have something like 8 to 10 Arleigh-Burke destroyers parked off the coast of Venezuela. Those have the Anspy 6. That is the most capable radar in the world. You can target and shoot down satellites with that thing. So you don't need any land-based radar, right? That radar there in Tobago is to act as a shield over Trinidad and Tobago just in case there's any fallout. And the Venezuelans, in my humble opinion, have no capability to. But even if it is for the sake of public relations, right? The Americans are going to be doing what they're doing regarding Venezuela. What they are making sure to do is to protect their partners, protect Guyana, protect Trinidad and Tobago, right? With a hard asset that's focused on nothing else. And if there's any incoming, any of the ships or even the airplanes can take it out because the radar identified. Okay, that is what it is. There's no need to be trying to say that it is not a military radar. Okay. However, what Keith Rowley and the PNM are going to do is try to frighten people into believing that that is a bad idea. Right? And I'm hearing this morning again, there are people who, quote unquote, they don't want to see boots on the ground in Venezuela. Such people don't realize and understand that the only way to resolve that Venezuela issue would be boots on the ground. But it would not be US boots. It would be Venezuelan boots. Because finally the Venezuelan people will have an opportunity. That's what the Americans are doing. They're saying we are here. You now have an opportunity to take back your country because your country has been hijacked. This is the piece that these people here in Trinidad don't seem to get. Venezuela, they're making it seem like the Americans are coming to conduct regime change in Venezuela. Venezuela has been under regime change for about 20 years. Russia, China, Iran. Okay? And they have forcefully kept that guy in power. His entire bodyguard is Cuban. Right? They're not even Venezuelan, they are Cuban soldiers. And when you talk about bodyguard in countries like Venezuela, they come like Iraq. The Republican Guard was Saddam Hussein's personal guard. But it's like 5 divisions, it's thousands of men. Right? So the Venezuelan, the bodyguard for Nicolas Maduro is Cuban. What are Cubans doing in Venezuela? Right? And this is probably the linchpin that will decide if and when he goes, because the Cubans are keeping him there. He don't want to be there because Cuba receives free fuel from Venezuela. It come like our friends in St. Vincent that you liberated. I mean, you are the liberator of St. Vincent, right? Because St. Vincent was under the spell of Petrocaribbean too, not free Venezuelan fuel, so they were speaking up for Venezuela. Well, Maduro anyway. Same with the Cubans. The Cubans want him there. Okay? Once that is straightened out, once the Americans can convince the Cubans, listen, it's not worth it, that will be the end of the discussion. But you first have to put pieces in play. You first have to put pressure. That's what they're doing. And in closing, for those who, again, don't want boots on the ground, it's a reality of history and conflict. The only way that things are settled. There's an old saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. You have to put pressure. Okay? It might sound ugly, but that's just the reality. And that's what's going on now.
Let's fast forward through this bullshit.
maybe not, but China knows that they have no expeditionary capability in this part of the world, militarily. Okay, so the Chinese actually, of all the players, I think the Chinese are the least. They have the most invested economically in Venezuela. But militarily, no. China has no expeditionary capability in this part of the world. The Russians
but
do
Russia
to an
do.
extent.
But Russia have
Russia,
that. Yeah, they have that.
Russia has that. Russia has that ability to extend itself to a minimum degree. So the Russian Navy is primarily a submarine-based navy. Their surface fleet is not very good, right? But the Russians have weapon systems that they can install in places, so they call it area access denial. Things like missile batteries and so on that will discourage people from coming in. But that alone is not really a good deterrent, because you saw what happened in Iran. Iran used Russia's latest and best, the S-300, S-400, and they were very easily dismantled. Okay, so it's not really all it's trumped up to be. And there are people who would come and try to convince you that S-400 is known. It was defeated handily in Iran. And I heard a guy on this channel trying to say it was sabotage. No, it wasn't. S-400 cannot detect stealth. Okay, anyhow. But the point is, in my humble opinion, the Cubans are the linchpin. Right? And once the Cubans are satisfied.
And you are seeing that before the year end, Trump will move in on Venezuela.
No, he wouldn't move in. What is going to happen? So what Trump is doing now is like chess. He's putting the thing in check until he can't move anymore. Okay, he's putting pieces in play. That fleet off the coast is not an invasion fleet. It's about 8 destroyers, 1 supercarrier, 3 amphibious assault ships, 15,000 troops. That cannot invade. No way, no how. All right? It is just meant to be there as a presence to suggest to everybody we are getting increasingly serious, because you start off with a few ships, right? Then you send an amphibious ready group. Then you send a carrier battle group. When the US sends a carrier battle group, they are serious, right? But they're not going to invade. They're going to do everything to make your life too painful. And the Russians and the Chinese know, look, we want to continue some degree of interaction with the West. They seem to be serious about it. The only holdout is the Cubans, because the Cubans they have very little to hold on to as negotiation. So they're going to hold on to Venezuela. But once they are satisfied, whatever Trump does to satisfy them, to say, look, let Venezuela go, maybe we will when Venezuela starts to provide fuel to the rest of the world in general, maybe you will get it at a preferred price, that kind of thing. Because the main thing that Cuba wants from Venezuela is free Venezuelan fuel. Right? Once that is satisfied,
yeah, but
they will give up the rest.
So all of that, you saying Cuba so big in the dance that they have to negotiate, US had to negotiate with Cuba, and it's them is with the war. I don't think so.
No, go look up who is the Venezuelan, who is Nicolas Maduro's bodyguard.
Yeah, well, I know that.
And again, right, so Nicolas Maduro, for me right now, is a hostage. He wants to go. The Cubans are saying, no, we need to get our pound of flesh, because we rely on you for one thing, and we have supported you so long. You cannot physically leave his body. You cannot physically bodily leave until they are satisfied. It's the Cubans who will hold the linchpin now.
Okay.
The Russians and the Chinese have been satisfied. Well, the Russians for sure. The Chinese maybe not. But the Cubans, they are the only ones who are like, what the hell? This thing one play off and I ain't getting nothing out of it. Nah, I'm holding this guy here by the neck.
Well, all right.
Until I get what I want.
Thank you so much, nobody. Oh boy, next caller quick.
Good morning, Andy. I had to get back in again. Listen to this man talk here. People, let's forget conveniently, partner. When South Africa, right, was fighting apartheid, who you feel was helping them? You feel that America was helping them blacks and them fight apartheid in South Africa? People, let's forget convenient. Now everybody against Cuba. Cuba used to send medical doctors all over in hotspots where people looking for health care. America was against that. They're against Cuba. But this fellow talking about war and America could go in anytime. Let me ask you a hypothetical question. If America get engaged physically with Venezuela and Iran and China decide to take over Taiwan at the same time, and Iran decide they're going to wipe out Israel at the same time, what going to be America's position? They go leave Venezuela and go up there to help the Israelis? They go and help Taiwan? They could fight 3 wars at the same time all over the world? And the Pentagon right now put all military bases in America on high alert because they detect hotspots, heat traces in different parts of Venezuela where there was no heat traces before.
I never thought I'd live to see the day when Russian strategic missiles would be positioned in Venezuela aimed at American cities while Washington scrambles in a state of panic it hasn't experienced since the darkest days of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
And they're suspecting that the Russians supply them with top-of-the-line defense capabilities. So right now, Trump looking for a hole to hide in because he can't go in Venezuela. All the talking, right now they're looking for a hole to hide because they have weapons in Venezuela that they didn't realize, only now they find out.
But here we are, and if you think this is just another news cycle, another headline that will fade by next week, you fundamentally misunderstand what is happening right now in our hemisphere. This isn't just a deployment. This isn't just a military maneuver. This is the geopolitical equivalent of watching the tectonic plates of global power shift beneath our feet in real time, and the earthquake that follows will reshape everything we thought we understood about American dominance, hemispheric security, and the post-Cold War order that we all took for granted. When I first learned that Russia was moving intermediate-range ballistic missiles into Venezuelan territory, missiles capable of reaching Washington, New York, Miami, Houston, every major population center along the eastern seaboard within minutes of launch.
And Venezuela is such a... The terrain in Venezuela, what they see right from the satellites is only part of what it have because it have valleys right around Caracas in a bowl. Right around his mountain. They don't know what it have in the mountains to defend Caracas. So American airships, American airplanes coming into Venezuela. The Chinese, he talking about America, the best radar. The Chinese are the best radars. The Chinese detecting them plane where they say invisible. The Chinese detecting that from 600 miles away. If the Chinese have them radars in Venezuela, which I highly suspect they have because they have a lot of money invested in Venezuela, you feel they're just going to give up that? If the Chinese radars there and they're picking up American planes, them spy plane and bombers and things from 600 miles away, and they have defensive capabilities to blow them out of the air, you feel Trump going to send them planes there?
China is revolutionizing its defense technology by unveiling a groundbreaking photon detector that could redefine the capabilities of its military forces. Reports suggest that China is swiftly deploying advanced, ultra-low-noise quantum radar systems designed to operate with unmatched precision and sensitivity. According to a detailed report published by Defense Security Asia on December 4th, this significant technological leap marks another milestone in China's defense modernization. Experts speculate that this single innovation could allow China to close the gap, and even surpass, decades of accumulated Western research in radar and electronic warfare.
Right, and as I tell Lennox, fact check why it's in all American bases in America on high alert right now, because they detect that it have weapons in Venezuela that they never know about before. The Russians supplying arms, lash, because they're defending the investments.
I realized we had finally crossed a threshold from which there is no return. This is not hyperbole. This is not academic theorized. This is the United States facing the same strategic dilemma it imposed on Russia for 3 decades, brought home to roost in the most visceral, undeniable way imaginable, and the most terrifying part. We did this to ourselves. Let me be absolutely clear about what I'm going to explain to you today. I'm going to walk you through exactly how American foreign policy driven by arrogance, imperial overreach, and a fundamental misunderstanding of great power politics, created the conditions for this nightmare scenario. I'm going to show you why Russia's decision to deploy missiles in Venezuela is not the act of an irrational aggressor, but the perfectly logical response of a great power pushed into a corner by relentless American encroachment. I'm going to explain why Venezuela, a country we have sanctioned, isolated, and attempted to overthrow for over 2 decades, finally decided that its survival depends on a military alliance with Moscow. And I'm going to tell you why this crisis represents the definitive end of American unipolarity and the emergence of a multipolar world that Washington is catastrophically unprepared to navigate.
So Trump and them going to fold up and roll back and get out of there. And all now what he looking for is a talking point to say, well, look, he achieved this and he achieved that by killing some fishermen on fishing boat. With no proof that they have drugs, the only alleging that they have drugs. I don't doubt that they probably have, or some probably have, but no proof.
No proof.
And we can operate on logic, partner, not on fantasy.
All right. Thank you very much. And,
Wow,
and Jackman.
wow.
Lennox